Hi, I'm Haley Sue Robinson with the City of Pueblo. Come take a ride with zero fare for better air, where bus fares are free for June, July, and August on all Pueblo Transit and City Lift rides. Riding Pueblo Transit is easy and convenient with 12 routes throughout the city. All bus schedules are kept up to date on the city's website at www.pueblo.us. Visit Pueblo Transit online or come take a ride for yourself, starting at the Transit Center, located at 123 Court Street.
We are here again with another installation to our Voices of Pueblo 45 Degrees series, where we work with a local artist to dig deeper into the meaning of each mural making up the Pueblo Levee project. Running along the Arkansas River, these murals lean 45 degrees back and are up to 28 feet tall and nearly 4 times as wide. This podcast is brought to you by the Pueblo Star-Journal. Thank you for listening. Robert Hall is here to discuss his contributions to the project. Well, let's get started with tying it to Pueblo. What is your connection to Pueblo?
So, I was born in Roswell, New Mexico, and my parents moved us here when I was a kid. So I've been here since I was probably like 3 or something like that. So I consider this home. I've been here my whole life. Yep. Pueblo's home for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I moved here when I was like 6, so it's like close enough.
Yeah, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it here. It's steeped in history, and I don't know. I love it. I live out in Pueblo West now, but I kind of miss living in town, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of got its benefits being out in Pueblo West, but, you know, being in town, I like being in town.
Yeah, I always lived in Pueblo West, so I always found it kind of isolating from main Pueblo.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
it's like 2 different worlds almost, huh?
Yeah.
People out in Pueblo West are kind of different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, they keep to themselves most of the time, but,
right.
you know, it was always hard to, because I always lived on the far side of Pueblo West, so it was quite a trek to always get into Pueblo, but, you know, like, Pueblo is where the culture is, you know?
It is.
Yeah, so missing out on that is just too much, so I try to get out here as often as possible.
Cool.
Working at the Journal has helped a lot with that.
Yeah,
so,
right, being right here downtown.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, what got you connected to the Levee Mural project?
So, as a kid, man, we used to always play on the river, like, all the time. Like, we pretty much lived on the river. That's where we spent our summers at, me and my siblings and my friends. So, I'd always look at the old levee that was there, and I'd be just like, man, I wish I could have been around when they did that, because I'd love to get on that wall. But, and then at some point I noticed that they tore it down and stuff, and then a friend of mine who was on the old wall mentioned that they were going to be doing it again. They were going to be like starting up and doing all the paintings again. So I was like, man, I'd love to get on that. So anyways, he plugged me into Cynthia, and I got a hold of her, and that was about it, man. Yeah, she got me going on my first one, the Metatron's Cube, and then I think like a year after that I did the Bob Marley. So yeah, man, it's always been something that I've always admired and loved. So, and my favorite one was the old Bob Marley one. Man. Yeah, that one was awesome. But so yeah, man, that was that was all it took, really, just getting plugged in.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So can you describe some of your murals for our listeners?
Like the ones that are on the wall?
Mm-hmm.
So I did Metatron's Cube first, which is like sacred geometry. It's just like a shape. Man, there's like a lot to unpack with it, but it's just, they say that like everything in existence comes from like the flower of life and stuff like that. And Metatron's Cube kind of holds the keys to a lot of the answers in life that people are always like questioning about. And I think I just found myself down a journey of like trying to find like who I am as a person and like why I'm here and stuff like that. And just kind of led me down that journey. And I found myself making a lot of sense with that type of stuff, like sacred Jesus is like crazy. Like when you start looking into it, it's like, dang, there's a lot of like answers that are I don't know, that I was looking for, and I found it in that. So that was that one. And then the Bob Marley one that I did, Bob Marley was always been like a big figure in my life. One of my favorite uncles, he used to take us back to Roswell all the time to go back and visit, family and stuff. And he'd always play Bob Marley and stuff the whole way there and back. So that kind of tied into that. But I think I spent a lot of time in my life kind of trying to be somebody that like I really wasn't, and then like once I like kind of grew up and was like, I'm gonna kind of do what I want to do, then I started like painting a lot more and listening to reggae music and blowing a little tree and that type of stuff. And it just all just kind of just spiraled out from there, man. It just was like building blocks, I think, of like those two pillars in my life that was just like kind of like freed me from like being so worried about like what other people think about me and that type of stuff. So man, reggae music and sacred geometry are kind of two of the things that I try to live my life by every day. So yeah, that's kind of what brought me to those two pieces. Yeah.
That's interesting. Cool. Yeah, it's about, not stifling your like true self.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Pueblo Transit is partnering in the community for Zero Fare for Better Air, with events like Pueblo's Care and Share distribution on June 28th, July 26th, and August 23rd at Praise Assembly on Troy Avenue. Pueblo Transit is also providing special shuttles to Pueblo Pride on August 20th at Mineral Palace Park, and offering free service from downtown on Main Street to the Colorado State Fair from August 25th to the 31st. Zero Fare for Better Air is all summer long in June, July, and August. Let's get back in the episode.
Yeah, man, I spent so much time doing that, And then, I don't know, man, I was alone in my apartment one time, and I had just moved into it. And I was just like, kind of just getting out on my own, really. So it was like my first little spot. I have no furniture or nothing. And I was just sitting there just like thinking to myself, like, man, just kind of unhappy with the situation. And I just was like, I just want to do the things that I want to do, And like doing art and stuff when I was a kid, was just like coming from like the culture that I come around, like doing art and stuff was not something you did. Like if you were into art, like, my pops would be like, nah, that ain't, you're going to play football and basketball and that type of stuff. So like being an artist and stuff was not an option. If I did like draw and stuff, it was something I just kind of did, on my own. But I always enjoyed it, but it was something that was almost, like steered out of me, if you will, like, don't do that, do this.
Mm-hmm. Or like keep it to a hobby.
Right, exactly. Keep that to you, but let's focus on this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, man, in that apartment, I just made that decision, like, this is what I'm going to do. And probably within about 4 or 5 months, I had every wall in that apartment covered. And I'm talking every inch. Like, we painted every inch of that apartment, like the cabinets and the kitchen and everything. And my brothers would come over. We just paint everything. And then one of my friends came over with a tattoo gun, and then we started tattooing too. And I was tattooing all my friends, and so it just kind of all tied in the same. And like one of the first tattoos I did was this Metatron's cube. And then I put a Metatron's cube pretty much on like all my close friends. So yeah, I did all the tattoos on my arm and everything. Man, it's just been a journey from there,
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just been such a blessing to be able to put at least one piece. But now I got two, on the levee, man. It's crazy, but I would have never thought that I'd be doing what I'm doing today, But yeah, I love it.
So you always had an inclination towards art growing up.
Absolutely.
What was the focus that you kind of turned away from, I guess?
Sports.
Mm-hmm.
Sports was always, a real staple in my family. I got 2 brothers and a sister, and we all played sports. So my parents just really pushed sports kind of tough, but really like my dad. But my mom's was real open to, like art and, tapping into like the world and, earth. And she was kind of the one who tied us into the river a lot of the time,
Mm-hmm.
She would take us down there and we'd play and swim and fish and everything else. So catch crawdads and everything. So it was just the sports thing, man. And it was kind of something that, like, I was convinced that, like, I wanted as well. And then at some point, it just was like, I don't know, like, you ever, like, do something that you can just, like, feel it ain't right? Like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I was
what I'm
there.
saying?
Now, I went into STEM before I went into journalism.
Cool, yeah.
So I went to a STEM school, and it was in biomed. But I really wanted to do it. What I realized is that I wanted to help people. But what my real, I guess, skill set or passion was writing. And that didn't really coincide with each other. But writing is more of a vehicle for me to connect with other people. And I kind of misread that as, be a doctor. So, because there's such an emphasis on going into STEM and straying away from humanities and liberal arts and arts in general.
Right, exactly, right. And how long you been doing this?
I realized about the end of sophomore year in high school, I was not interested in STEM. And I kind of was free floating until like about 6 months into my junior year, and I was like, I like English. And so I thought I was going into teaching English for high schoolers, or high school, middle schoolers, and I did 1 semester of that when I went into college, and that was not a fit. And so I was like, I'm good in English, but I need to pick something else. And so I happened across journalism, and then that was a really good fit for me. So
awesome, man. I love that. I love that you're doing that too. You're chasing that dream.
Yeah. So
that's awesome, dude.
A lot of things get lost in translation, I think.
Absolutely.
Like, it's there,
right,
but you got to read it right.
Right, right. You're absolutely right. Yeah, it's got to be read in the right way, right? I agree with that, man. I absolutely agree with that.
It's kind of interesting because with your Bob Marley mural, like that, those roots were there,
Right.
And
right.
then
100%.
And then that geometry, the sacred geometry, kind of symbolizes that transition. Right. So to be able to also tie it back to the levee and the river is pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's
crazy. Yeah, it comes full circle.
Like
yeah,
it's crazy, right?
Yeah,
I was thinking about that too, man, when I was out there painting, and I always hear a lot of people talk about like being out there and it's like hot and stuff. But so I own a irrigation company, so I work all summer. But so I only worked on it during the winter. So for me, it was it's the opposite. It was always cold as hell.
Yeah.
And like the paint, I have to take it home and like make sure it was warm and take it inside.
Oh yeah.
It's too thick and it won't lay down, But yeah, no, I've never painted out there in the summer though.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a whole other rodeo,
Man,
Yeah, because a lot of people are talking about how, like, one of our very first podcast guests was Shannon Palmer. She was explaining that she was getting heat stroke because she has to cover up because her skin burns easily, which I totally get. Like, I fry to a crisp. So, so I would have to be very careful about if I were to paint on the levee. I would have to be careful about that. But a lot of the stories are oriented around painting and the heat.
Like in the heat.
Yeah. So, how did that change how you tackled painting your mural? I understand sometimes the process kind of fuels the end product.
Definitely, absolutely. So, I think so, because like I did the cube kind of like in the fall, so it was like almost perfect weather, if you will, and that was cool. And that one only took me like I probably painted that in like 2 or 3 days. And then the Bob Marley, I started it in the fall, I think that like following year, and it was cool. And then like end of the winter, I came and like did some stuff to it, but like the paint, it get like when it gets cold, it's not frozen, but it's like sludge, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gets real thick.
Right. And the Bob Marley's got, I don't know how many colors on it, but it's got all kinds of colors on it. So I'd have to take, you know, I'd have this paint inside my house, you know, at night so that it wouldn't freeze. And then, you know, I'd go out there in the winter. I'd take my kids out there with me and stuff too. And man, we'd go out there and have a good time painting. Yeah, it was just, yeah. I could see it being really tough painting in the summer though. Like it being hot like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So imagine.
And the good thing in the winter, I'm sorry, the good thing in the winter is that the river's low, you know? So a buddy of mine came out and put these little stones in the water so I could have a little bridge, which made it cool because like I could paint and then unclip and go down and back up and look at it and come back and come back up.
Oh, that's nice.
You know?
Yeah.
So that was cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
It helped out a lot. So.
Yeah. So
that was awesome.
I always get wrapping my mind around trying to do a mural of that size is like almost impossible for me because I mean I find it hard enough to paint on like a little canvas panel that you get from like Walmart, you know, and I'm like this is too much.
Right.
So like trying to and like you can manipulate that however you want, get as close or far away as you want.
Right.
And so when you're working with a canvas really that big is just like I would have to get like drones involved and get like bird's eye view or something.
You know,
like have no
tough.
idea.
It is, man. And then I think what kind of makes it harder is like you're painting on like a big canvas, but it's almost like you're painting on the floor, you know, because it's like you're standing on it. So it adds that, you know, that other element of like, you know, where you have to battle because it's like, I don't know. It's just, it's tough because I've painted on walls and stuff, big stuff, but you almost like you're painting on the floor. So it kind of makes it tough, man. But that Bob Marley painting kind of kicked my butt. But it was cool. My girl at some point was like, all right, you got to stop touching it because I just kept going back, like adding stuff to it. But, you know, in my mind, it's like a painting is never finished. Like, it's never,
yeah.
Yeah, so I can always go back and like want to keep adding stuff and taking stuff away or whatever. So
yeah, eventually you got to tear yourself away.
Yeah,
you know?
you do. Yeah.
Yeah. Eventually, it's like a baby, you know. Like you got to keep tending to it, and then they're like, leave it.
Yeah, exactly. You got to have that person that's like, all right, that one's done. Stop.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I get that with writing. I tend to overwrite.
Yeah.
Ben would know. He edits it.
Yeah, you're like,
So, yeah, but I just can't leave it because I don't feel like the story's complete.
Yeah.
So,
you know, and with painting, you're almost, you know, you're telling a story through, you know, visually. So, but you're right. It's the same thing, man. You never feel like it's like, you know, I don't know if they get that or if that looks right, or, you know, it just. And then especially out there on that scale, you know, it makes it tough to get it right. But so yeah, that helped a lot having that little, you know, little rock thing, and my boy built it out to like a little island out there. You know what's wild is before I started the Metatron's Cube, I had like already inquired about doing one with Cynthia, and we were supposed to meet, you know, on a certain day. I don't remember what day it was, but I was with some friends downtown for a little while walking around, and I lost my dog. My dog, these people started fighting, and my dog ran away because I don't really keep him on a leash, but he took off running, and he was gone. I couldn't find him, and he was out on the land, man, for like 3 or 4 days. And then we had like put out some posters and stuff, and my girl had like put some stuff on like social media and stuff about you know, looking for the dog. And then somebody calls me at like 5 in the morning, and he's like, hey, I think I see your dog, man. He's on the river. And I'm like, cool. And it was a concrete worker that was working on a levee. So I go down there, man, and sure enough, he was stuck on this island. Like, the dude said he had like slid down the wall into the water and then was stuck on this little island. So when I got there, you know, I kind of like shimmied down the wall, called him into the water, and he swam to me, and I grabbed him out, and I, you know, like, crab walked or whatever back up the thing. And then right there, I talked to Cynthia like a couple days later, and I was like, yo, I want to put a mural right there where I pulled my dog out of the water. So
Yeah, so there's even further connection.
Yeah,
That's wild.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, like a couple days later, I started that Metatron's Cube. So yeah, it was really crazy, man. But yeah, that dog's in good health now.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing to get a dog back.
Man,
especially in a situation like that.
You know what I mean? It was sad, man. It was sad. My kids were crushed about it, but
yeah,
you know, we got him back now. He's all good.
Mm-hmm.
I keep a leash on him now, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. You get a little nervous after that.
Yeah, you know, after that, you're like,
yeah.
I just got scared, man. Because people were like arguing real loud, and I looked over and he was running away. I was like, oh man, you know, I went around the corner and he was gone.
Yeah.
Dang. So yeah, but yeah, man. Crazy how life works, you know.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy.
Yeah, the circles of life.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, this is Cynthia Ramu with the Pueblo Levee Mural Project. Thanks for listening to the 45 Degrees series. If you're listening to this and want to start the process of painting a mural, please reach out to me at Pueblo Levee 2022 at gmail.com, and I'll be glad to get back to you and give you any updates or just guide you. And we can get the process started. You can find more information on Facebook at Pueblo Levee Project Facebook page, and you can even message me there also. So I look forward to connecting with more artists in the community, and I look forward to giving you more updates as we get into the spring. There's going to be a lot more happening. You guys have a great day. See you soon.
So you mentioned that there was a Bob Marley painting that you saw before the levee was destroyed.
Yeah.
Did that influence your decision?
It absolutely did. Yeah, because that was one of my favorite ones. It was probably my favorite one. It was just super dope. It was like a lot different than the one that I did. And I had considered maybe, trying to do that same one. But for me, I find that trying to recreate things that already exist makes art like a chore.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of makes it like I really don't like to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I'm gonna just do my own thing, and I submitted it. I submitted the piece that I wanted to do. So what I did was the piece that I did is actually like it's like a color version, like a cartoon version, I guess, of the album cover Legend. And I lost my train of thought, man. Oh yeah, so I wanted to do the other one, but then I was like, nah, I'm gonna do something new. That way I'm not like, chasing that like, oh, it doesn't look exactly like that.
Oh yeah.
You know what
Be a human printer, basically.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, it doesn't look exactly like the old one. So I was like, man, I'm gonna do my own thing. So I drew one. I painted one in my house. So I do paintings in my house still on the walls. So I painted one in my bedroom, probably like a 3x5 or something like that. And then boom, I sent that one in. They okayed it, and then I did that one on the wall, man. So yeah, it was nice to be able to do it small scale, because it's just a bunch of little different shapes, and then like a bunch of colors as well. So it was tough. It was a tough painting to do, man. And then, like I say, I worked on it in the fall, and then I worked on it a few times during the winter, and then I didn't get back to it till like that early, maybe like in like March or something, that next year or so. It was still kind of cold outside, but I went on ahead and just banged it out. So got it done, man. Yeah, one of my favorite paintings that I've personally done. So yeah.
Yeah, it's real vibrant, and there's a lot of, what's the word, like, kind of like composition going on,
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of, like you said, shapes,
Right, a bunch of different shapes and stuff. So when I'd go out there at night, me and my girl would go out there, and I actually threw it down with a marker at first, just to kind of, I drew it on there basically, and then just came back with a bunch of different colors, man, and just started playing with paint. So I took some classes at CSUP for art, And they taught me a lot about like paint mixing and stuff like that. So that really helped. You know, you can buy like, you know, just certain colors and make colors out of them colors. And you can make like different shades of colors out of those colors. Mm-hmm. So man, I just had like cups and cans and you know, just stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
Just paint everywhere, man. So
yeah, the possibilities start to get limitless when you can figure out how to work with the shades. And,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. When you can work with hues and stuff like that, man, it gets crazy.
Yeah. My mom got an art degree. So I grew up with that perspective.
Yeah.
And
So
every once in a while. Yeah, every once in a while she'd pull me aside and be like, all right, so this is how you shade, and this is how you mix paint. So I grew up with that perspective a lot. Cool. So
yeah, man. Yeah. It's needed, dude, because it teaches you a lot, you know? Mm-hmm. It's, man, one of the things that I love that I went to school for, you know? Mm-hmm. I went to school for automotive before that, and then I was just like, this ain't for me, you know? Mm-hmm. Kind of around that same time, you know, when I was kind of like finding myself and stuff alone in that apartment, it was like, boom, like, man, I'm going to go to CSUP and get me, you know, take up some little classes on art, you know? Mm-hmm. So I was kind of filling the line, man. And now, man, shoot, we paint at home, you know. I do a bunch of woodworking and stuff like that. I got a shop at home, and I just love to just create stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just a really, man, I wish I could just paint all the time, you know, get paid to do it. But but you know, I don't know. I guess I ain't never, you know, committed to that. But
yeah, it's a big hustle, you know.
It is, you know. It is.
Like we were saying earlier, that, you know, you have to be a one-man show, really. You know, the whole office is just you.
Yeah.
So it does take it's a lot of, you know, it's a lot of commitment, you know, and not just as a person, but in terms of time and everything. Mm-hmm. So, but it does also to do it as, I don't want to say hobby because that seems reductive, but as a passion, you know, outside of work, you know.
Yeah, and even the word hobby's cool, you know, because it's like, for me, I think if I was to change it into like something that I was getting paid to do and stuff like that, I think it would become, like I said earlier, like a chore, you know.
Yeah.
And that kind of takes away the fun from it.
Yeah.
I think people that say like, man, you should do what you love, you know, you should do what you love, like, to make money. And for me, like, I disagree because it takes away that, like, that love, you know, that passion over time. You start to lose it. For me, you know.
Yeah, it becomes a job.
It becomes a job, exactly.
And, like, if that's the only way you could make a living is to do something that you're absolutely passionate about, that's totally fine.
Right.
But if the only way you could make a living is to do something you love, then it kind of creates this kind of tension with what you want to do and how you have to live.
Yep. It's no longer what you want to do. It's like, now I need to do it. Mm-hmm. So it's like, you know, it changes the whole everything, you know, so. Yeah, I mean, I've thought about going full-time art, but, you know, I ain't gonna complain about my life. You know, we all got our struggles and stuff like that, but, yeah.
So if there's anything you'd like to add, we can start wrapping up here.
Yeah, no, that's cool, man. I guess I really ain't got much more to say. I guess just if you're out there and, you know, you got a passion to do something outside of, like, what, you know, society or, like, the people around you think is cool, like, man, chase that dream, you know. Yeah, free yourself from, you know, just, you know, the world's vices on you, you know. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so my life changed when I did that for myself, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's about it, fellas. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
cool. Thank you for taking the time to come on our 45 Degrees podcast. Listeners, go check out Robert's art, walking by his murals, over by Dutch Clark Stadium. If you like this podcast, please share it with a friend and give us a follow on your favorite podcast platform. Check out our other episodes from our 45 Degree series and how these muralists are tackling the project of painting the Pueblo levee, and how it started with Cynthia Remu and the first murals to grace the levee. Thank you so much for listening.
Zero Fare for Better Air is happening with Pueblo Transit all summer long in June, July, and August. Ride Pueblo Transit or City Lift free throughout the hot summer months. Leave the car at home, enjoy one of 12 routes offered throughout the city, and help save carbon emissions during the hottest time of the year. Need help finding a route? Call Pueblo Transit at 719-553-2723 or visit the website at www.pueblo.us. This podcast is brought to you by the City of Pueblo.